my friends, welcome to our another shave, which is brought to us by the Ohio Wetshavers Meetup 5 Cowtown soap. This was in our goodie bags. A pretty nice soap. I don't know who made it. Good stuff though. And our razor today is a 1965 Gillette Slim with that same, what blade is this? Yeah, Gillette Platinum blade. It's got about 4 shaves on it. Let's get started. Save some time, I went ahead and lathered this because it's been a spell since I think I've only used it one time. And one shave, and then I'm going to be on a tear for another challenge. If you're a member or if you're aware of the shaving cadre, we do it from time to time, do some interesting challenges, and for February we're doing a Williams mug soap challenge, just to get a puck of Williams and use it. So that's going to take a variable out of my shaves. I'll just know what soap I'm going to use. I don't have to pick. And we'll be doing that for a little while. It was cold as can be the last several days. Record-setting cold. This morning was 12 below. And it closed. Actually, it didn't close anything because this is Saturday. But boy, it sure put the crimp on things. I went outside. I had a tire on my car that kind of decided to fart out all its air in the cold. And I'm not certain if it's that tire or what, but it went outside and it was near flat to 7 pounds. So I pumped it back up. I should have set them all. Because in cold weather, you know, your tires do lose some pressure. But not down to 7. I'd expect a couple pounds. This morning it was down to 5 pounds, where the other pound were down a tire, well, a pound or 2. I'm just suspicious of it right now. Anyway, that involves winter and waiting around and watching stuff happen. And that's what our boys in Cambridge were doing still, watching and waiting. Their days, we kind of got curious about what the average day was like in winter, when they're wintering over. And they would still get up at dawn. They didn't have reveille like a bugle call, like what we're used to listening to. They had drums, so they played drums in the camp, and that would rouse the boys up. Or they'd rouse each other, because they were 6 guys in a tent, maybe, huddled together for warmth. They would have runners. Officers would. Some of the men were lucky enough to be in hard-sided billets, you know, like with either farmhouses or barns or little shacks that they would have built. And so they'd have their morning assemblies, formation as it were. They'd read the orders of the day, have some breakfast, and then they would set about camp stuff, you know, like maintenance, digging latrines. And they'd have to move them around because they'd fill up pretty quick when you get a camp full of men. So you fill one with earth and move it somewhere else, and that kept disease down. They had to be a discrete distance from the billets, tents and stuff, and a discreet distance from water sources. So they'd have to do that quite frequently. And then if the weather was nice, they might find something to do. I was wondering what kind of stuff they did do, and we found out last time about playing cards, and that was probably evenings or when the weather was really terrible. But outside, I wondered if hockey was a thing, because they had frozen ponds and stuff like that to play on. Well, hockey hadn't been invented yet, but an ancestor of it, Scotch-Irish tradition. Oh dear, one moment please. Okay, we're back. That was my wife. She's on her way home from work. So, but ice skating was indeed a thing. Pretty popular, as a matter of fact. And some of our Scotch and Irish friends would have had a game that was called shinty or Hurley. That was through the British Army, was brought with them up into Canada, where they got lots of ice. And that kind of went up there. Now, shinty or Hurley was a kind of violent game with sticks and a ball, not a puck, or rocks even. And there wasn't much in the way of officiating. Bruises and cuts and whatnot were kind of common. So they probably played that. Snow pastimes, well, cross-country skiing, no, it wasn't a thing. Maybe sledding, but that would just be the kids, not the adults. So I gotta imagine there was a pretty healthy amount of, we'll just call it hockey so that we don't confuse ourselves. But I gotta imagine that was pretty much one of their fun things to play. And of course, gambling on the side of whoever won. That was kind of a thing. But I hadn't thought too much about recreational stuff until fairly recently. So card games and games of chance and Hurley, hockey, and maybe some other things that we're looking around for, seeing if there's any more interesting things they did to pass the time. Of course, they had to do a lot of gear maintenance, because between drilling, doing some military type training, there was still a significant amount of downtime. So we just got to try and figure out what they did. This is Cowtown's aftershave splash. Very lightly scented. Pretty nice. But that's it for today's shave. 2 passes and a little bit of cleanup, and we are ready to go. I'm Major Rich. You find me at theshavingcodger.com. If you made it this far, thanks so much for watching. Please leave a like, subscribe if you're so inclined, and we'll see you on next time when we start our Williams Challenge. Bye-bye now.